exciting time of the year for all of us. And certainly the Bison are excited to go back to Sioux Falls, as that's something that we have talked about all year. And not being there last year was a disappointment. So from that perspective, I know all of our returners are very excited, our staff's excited, and we will take on a very well-balanced machine in IUPUI. The exciting part is that we did just play them 2 games ago, so they're a little bit more fresh in our minds. Yet the challenges are still there with Danielle Lawrence being a very explosive guard, and the inside play of Mikael Rogers will once again be challenging for us. But I think it's been fun to be in the gym the last couple days, strictly working on us. A little offense, a little defense. It's all about us. Our girls' energies are high, and their excitement is high. So we took today off, and we'll get into more of the game plan tomorrow, and then we'll practice here on Friday and head out Friday afternoon to be part of a fantastic championship, a fantastic event for the Summit League.
How much are you still teaching at this point in the season?
Every day. There's a lot of teaching. Maybe not so much with the upper class, who have more confidence, who are more settled into their role and what they can expect themselves to do. But for the freshmen, there's a lot of teaching. There's a lot of reinforcing. There's a lot of continuing to go on that progression, whether it's Tyra Spencer and her attacks and using her pivot and finishing high off the glass, or it's Riley Jacobson and countering her moves and becoming more continuing to become more explosive, or Riley Newdell and yes, you can shoot. We need you to shoot. We want you to shoot. There are things that Sarah was working on, more of a one-dribble pull-up again yesterday. So there's a lot of teaching, and that's, the March is the exciting part, but also with the young kids, them wanting to continue and to improve, and because there's the postseason, kind of seeing a renewed energy amongst them, the teaching is definitely still happening.
You mentioned that March is the exciting part. How much do you tell these freshmen to expect, and how much do you tell them to let it fly? I mean, this you're playing for your last game.
Right.
Every game now is your last game. So what do you tell them? I mean, just let it fly. Go out there. What are you saying to these girls?
We're talking a lot about. We will be talking a lot about. The underdog role and just how successful underdogs have been across the spectrum, and what it takes to be that underdog and what it takes to be that successful underdog, which is doing what you do best, not trying to do something else, playing with determination and grit, just going out there and not worrying, not second guessing yourself, but doing what comes naturally to you. And as coaches, it's our responsibility to put them in those situations, but it's their responsibility to play with that freedom, to play with that confidence. So, with a young group, we have to talk about it. We have to embrace it. There's a lot of people in our program right now that have not been to Sioux Falls. So what does it look like? What does it feel like? But at the end of the day, we're making it as much of a normal routine as possible, meaning we're practicing here on Friday morning. We're traveling down there just like we do for every other conference road game, to have as much about it be similar and the routine that they're accustomed to, while still using the energy and the excitement of the conference tournament and postseason and March and who else is playing in March and all that kind of stuff to our advantage. So it's a kind of a balancing act, but something that I'm excited about.
A young player like Brianna fit in with such a young group like you were mentioning?
You mean senior player?
Yeah, senior like Brianna fit in with such a young group.
She's her personality is one that is very open and very energetic and a comforting soul. So I think she realizes and she knows she's a senior versus a lot of freshmen, but I don't think she would identify herself that way in the locker room, on the court. She sees their spunkiness and their goofiness, kind of plays into who she is at times as well. So we look to her for her senior leadership, but also her ability to relate to and share in the excitement and the youthfulness of the younger kids.
How did you get her again? How did she come here? How did she end up here?
She was a junior college transfer from, it just escaped me. Danville, yes. I was going to say Brownsville, and that was not right. Danville in Danville, Illinois.
What was the connection though?
Just going through the recruiting process, we identified a need that we needed, and so the staff was able to identify her as someone that would help fill that void and fill that need for us.
How do you take pressure off Bree in the matchup against Mikael Rogers, one of the best players in the best post players in the Summit League?
Mikael Rogers is a fantastic post player, and it's not one person's responsibility. I think we've had some success getting the ball out of Mikal Rogers' hands and limiting her effectiveness in the points and rebounds. But she's also a veteran player, a senior player who understands how to involve her teammates. And so that's kind of like the second level for us is controlling her, but also limiting her abilities to be as productive distributing the basketball and getting it out of an uncomfortable situation. So that's our challenge, to continue to limit her, but also not let somebody else have a field day.
How do you decide when to bring help on her in the post?
That's something that we've talked about a lot, and it's where is she most effective? It's being able to identify, and we've been able to do that. Kind of her sweet spot, her go-tos, and when she actually is looking to pass more and not wasting a second defender when she's 3 feet off the block or at the elbow, not areas that she's as comfortable in. So it's a lot of film, it's a lot of conversation, and making sure that all 5 on the floor understand the game plan, not just the post players who usually have that matchup.
How nice of a payoff was it for especially some of your older players to get back to the tournament this year?
It was, you could see that they were excited, and it was a point of, this was a goal, and we've accomplished this. And our season has been up and down because of the youth, so much this year. But still, at the end of the day, playing in the conference tournament and making it to Sioux Falls is something that the entire team did. The young kids with their ups and downs, the older kids with their leadership. And so to see it all kind of come together and accomplish one of the goals that we set out at the beginning of the year, I'm happy for those seniors. I'm happy for Taylor. I'm happy for the group in general that we could accomplish one of our goals.
You mentioned IUPUI is a little bit fresher in your mind. You just played them. Also, you'd be fresher in their mind then. Did you guys change anything offensively going about this game?
It's looking at how they defended certain sets and how can we put ourselves in a counter situation as opposed to continuing to do the same things over and over again. One thing I do know about our team, and I would say most college teams or high school teams, is kids revert to their habits. And so putting in a whole new offense or tweaking a million things is not in our best interest. Tweaking a couple things, and specifically with the players who can handle it. Somebody like Sarah, somebody like Emily Spear, in their own ways, they can handle a little bit more on their plate than some of the other kids who are going to do their routine and their habit because the pressure's on, the lights are on, and what comes naturally to them is going to come out. So it's a combination, a little bit of tweaks and adjustments, but again, it's about what we do really, really well versus let's try to scheme and game plan against everything that they do, and then we don't have that confidence in all of that.
How do you expect some of these younger players to react playing under the lights and in the big stadium and everything? They've never played there before.
I don't foresee it being a huge issue across the board. I think the excitement of being there will maybe overstep or take the scaredness away collectively. That's where Anna Good Hope's played there numerous times. She'll be fine. Sarah Jacobson's been down there numerous times. The building won't be new to her. Somebody like RJ, Riley Jacobson, that kid is so relaxed and so in the moment. You could put her on an NBA stage. You could put her in a barn in Indiana, and the kid's going to play the exact same way. I don't think she gets caught up in all of that. So it's a little bit different for each kid, but that's where the coaches and the conversations that we have of being able to connect with the kids and help them feel the most comfortable. This is, in some respects, just another game. Certainly there's a lot on the table, but we don't want to make that be a bigger deal than really the basketball game and our opponent in one 40-minute session.
Is this the hardest team in the league to spread the floor against, with so many athletes and so much speed on the outside with Lawrence and Hall and even Jenna Gunn?
Mm-hmm. They've got a very balanced attack. And so when you have the inside, you have an explosive scorer like Danielle Lawrence, but then they can put 4 people around the perimeter that can shoot the ball. So as far as being a well-balanced and they can really stretch the floor, I would totally agree with that. I also think they're one of the hotter teams right now. Certainly Western Illinois is playing very, very well, and watching them in the USD championship game there was really fun to watch. But I would put IUPUI up there with a team that could win this championship, and because of how well they are playing right now and the balance that their offensive load has.